Israel annexes part of Syria, Turkey declares war on U.S. proxies, and Bashar Al Assad makes his first statement since the fall of the regime. Will Giuliani become the new president of Syria? What role do the U.S. and Turkey play in this? Where are the Russians running to? And why is America pulling an entire army to the Middle East? This is Ilya Brizek. Let's discuss this. After the fall of his regime, Assad commented on the situation for the first time. Quote, "My departure from Syria was not planned and did not take place in the final hours of the fighting as alleged. I remained in Damascus, carrying out my duties until the early morning of Sunday, December 8th. When terrorist forces infiltrated Damascus in coordination with the Russians, I moved to Latakia to monitor the fighting. Upon arrival at the Russian base that morning, it was clear that our troops had completely retreated. Russia demanded that the base organize an immediate evacuation, and this happened the day after the fall of Damascus. A Financial Times report found that between 2018 and 2019, Bashar al-Assad's regime transferred $250 million in $100 and €500 bills from Syria's national treasury by airplane to Russia. But while a new government is being formed in Syria in the person of rebel leader Giuliani, Israel is literally annexing part of its territory. Since the fall of the Assad regime, Israeli aviation has carried out hundreds of airstrikes on military facilities in the Syrian provinces of Tartus, Latakia, Hama, Homs, and Damascus. According to the Al Mayadeen TV channel, the explosions in Tartus were so powerful that they could be heard dozens of kilometers away. And the Turkish Disaster and Emergency Management Authority, AFAD, recorded a magnitude 3 earthquake. These strikes the Israeli side has not yet commented. Earlier, Benjamin Netanyahu said that the Golan Heights, located on Syrian territory, will forever remain under Israeli rule, and noted, quote, "Strengthening the Golan is strengthening the state of Israel, and it is especially important in these times. We will continue our presence in the Golan, its development and settlement," end quote. In a related development, according to the Prime Minister's office, Netanyahu's government has approved a plan to develop the Golan Heights, including strengthening settlements and doubling the population. Meanwhile, according to war correspondent Doron Kadash, the Israel Defense Forces continue to operate in the territories captured so far in Syria and are ready to take additional territories in the south if necessary. This plan has also been approved at the level of Israel's Chief of General Staff and Defense Minister. According to Iranian reports, all this became possible only after some high-ranking commanders of Bashar al-Assad passed accurate information about important facilities of the Syrian army to the Zionist regime. In other words, Assad's men themselves handed over the Golans to Israel. Meanwhile, Trump has claimed that Erdogan is behind the rebels and that the unfriendly seizure of power in Syria was carried out by Turkey. Turkey, following Israel's example, has begun destroying weapons abandoned by the Assad army in northern Syria. Tanks, BMPs, armored vehicles, rocket launchers, and artillery. Ankara seeks to destroy the weapons of the former Syrian regime to ensure that they will not be used against it in the future. At the same time, Turkey has threatened to shoot down Israeli planes if they help the Kurds in any way, and warned Israel about the risks associated with the occupation of the Golan Heights belonging to Syria. Also, the head of the Turkish Defense Ministry, Güler, speaking at the meeting on the results of 2024, said that Turkey is ready to support the new authorities of Syria in military and defense if they ask for it. At the same time, Turkish-backed units of the Syrian National Army are preparing for an operation to liberate Raqqa province from the U.S.-backed Kurdistan Workers' Party. A large number of troops have been moved to the area. Meanwhile, U.S. Army soldiers have already arrived in the Syrian town of Kobani on the border with Turkey to protect the Kurds and raise their flag over one of the tallest buildings there. According to some reports, the U.S. has agreed with Turkey to end hostilities between the pro-Turkish SNA and the pro-U.S. PKK and delineate zones of influence. U.S. troops also seized former Russian bases in Zaran and Baynisa, from where Russians fled to Tartus. The rebels are letting the Russians evacuate quietly for now, but the local military are mocking the fleeing Russian troops. Clips filmed on the roads leading to the coast have circulated on social networks. The videos show Russian military columns hurriedly leaving bases deep inside Syria. Syrian rebels take off their shoes and wave them in the direction of the Russians, a sign of humiliation and contempt in the Middle East, and they show obscene gestures. Reuters, citing a senior Syrian official, reports that a Russian military cargo plane left a base in Latakia in Syria and headed to Libya's Al Jufra air base. Russia has several military bases in Libya, from where it can ferry equipment to its other bases in Africa, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, etc. According to TASS, Russia has received temporary guarantees to keep its bases in Hmeimim and Tartus. According to analysts, until until the complete evacuation of Russian military forces from Syria, as Russia fails to find common ground with the new government. For its part, the United States reports that it has established direct contact with Hayat Tahrir al-Sham rebels, despite the fact that the group is recognized as a terrorist group in America. According to Anthony Blinken, if Syria achieves its transition goals and forms a broad-based government, the United States will recognize Hayat Tahrir al-Sham as a legitimate government and ease sanctions against the country. The supreme leader of the Islamic Revolution, Ali Khamenei, said in front of thousands of people that the United States will soon be forced to leave the region, and he appealed to the supporters of the resistance to be ready for this. He also said that there should be no doubt that what has happened in Syria is the result of a joint American and Zionist plan. The main plotters are in America and Israel, and that Iran has the evidence. For his part, Iranian military officer and former IRGC chief Mohsen Rezai said that there are 11,000 terrorists in northern Syria, led by the U.S. preparing to attack the Iraqi cities of Mosul and Tikrit in the coming months, and Tehran has decided to directly intervene on the battlefield. Iran's ambassador to Baghdad also said that Iran will defend Iraq militarily if it is threatened by terrorist groups. Also, according to a report from Iran, Israeli officials believe that now is the time to launch a full-scale attack on Iran's nuclear facilities. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said that Iran must not reach nuclear capability, and all options are being considered to ensure this. In addition, the WSJ reported that Trump may propose to Israel to bomb Iran's nuclear facilities. And according to analysts, if this information is true, this will not only be an aggression against Iran, but also a real threat to global security. On the eve of the U.S. military officially announced that the aircraft carrier strike group, led by the USS Harry Truman, entered the zone of responsibility of the Central Command in the Middle East, where the aircraft carrier strike group USS Abraham Lincoln is already located. In the U.S., considered that against the background of the coming events, these forces are clearly not enough. And according to a report by Haaretz, the Israeli Air Force is preparing to conduct a new large-scale air operation in the Middle East. Experts believe that if the initial strike will not be carried out on Yemen, the most likely target will be Iran. Another likely target could also be Iraq. New Syrian leader Julani said, "What happened in Syria is a victory over the Iranian project, which poses a danger to the entire region." According to the Hezbollah-affiliated publication Al-Akhbar, the new authority in Damascus has informed representatives of Palestinian factions in Syria that they will no longer be allowed to have any weapons, training camps, or military headquarters inside Syria. From now on, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham forbids Palestinians from using Syria as a platform for any activity against Israel. Julani said that the new Syrian government had no intention of entering into conflict with Israel, and that Syria's main enemy was Iran. He also emphasized that the Syrian revolution, though victorious, the state should not be governed by revolutionary logic. Now, the focus should be on creating laws and state institutions. And he added that if the citizens of the country or his closest associates ask him to do so, he will run for the presidency of Syria. So also, Julani said that all non-state armed groups in Syria will be dissolved, that there will be no weapons in the country except in the hands of official Damascus, and compulsory military service will be abolished. Turkey has strongly supported the new Syrian government and opened its embassy in Damascus for the first time in 12 years. Write in the comments what you think about this. Boosty and Patreon for those who want to support the channel. See you later.